What's up, you YouTubers? It's HotPower89 coming at you from the Duelist Den, and the voices in my head have told me it's time to do another top 10 list. Well, today's top 10 list, obviously, if you've read the title, is going to be about the top 10 most powerful and influential hand traps that have ever existed in the game. So, let's jump into the intro.
Feel tensions rising, I hear voices in my head. They count to me, they understand. They talk to me, they talk to me. They tell me things that I will do. They show me things I'll do to you. They talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. They talk to me, talk to me, talk to me.
Okay, number 10 on this list is Kuriboh, the original hand trap that the game has had. Now what Kuriboh does is during your opponent's turn at damage calculation, you can discard this card and you take no battle damage from that battle, and this is a quick effect. Now Kuriboh is on this list mainly because he was the first hand trap to ever exist, and almost every deck back in the day, back in the original days, when the game was first released, was running a Kuriboh, or a deck set of Kuriboh, I should say. Now, Kuriboh was such a powerful card that it did eventually get an entire archetype based around it, and it has some great spells. It's a very great deck. It's a little bit slow for today's meta, but it is still a very powerful deck. Number 9 on the list is Battle Fader. Now, Battle Fader is a pretty simple monster. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you spell summon this card from your hand to negate the attack and in the battle phase, but if summoned this way, it is banished when it leaves the field. Now the reason Battle Fader is so low on this list is because it's easy to get around. If your opponent drops a Majesty's Fiend or gets a Vanity's Emptiness chained in response to it, it can stop Battle Fader from special summoning, which then in turn prevents his effect from ending the battle phase. So getting around Battle Fader is pretty simple. There's a lot of cards to do it. In addition to that, say you actually did get Battle Fader summoned, a quick breakthrough skill to negate his effect would allow you to continue your battle phase with the loss of just one monster that you need to slam into that Battle Fader to get it off the field. Number 8 is Blackwing, Kalute the Moon Shadow. Now Blackwings were one of the best decks around during the Synchro era. And I personally hate Blackwings. They're a wannabe harpy. If you want to know more about that, just go and watch any of my fucking videos where I talk about harpies. I got top 10 lists. I got an archetype breakdown, whatever, you know. I go into a little rant on all of them, but I'm not going to do that here. But anyway, I will admit this was one of the most powerful hand traps and influential hand traps of all time. And what it does is when a Blackwing monster you control attacks or is attacked, you send this card from your hand to the graveyard, and your attacking monster gains 1,400 attack points until the end of the turn. But anyway, that is actually a very powerful card because A, it's searchable in Blackwings, B, it can easily be recurged from the graveyard in Blackwings, and C, Blackwings already have a whole shit ton of fucking powerful boss monsters that you can use this card with just to poke that little bit of extra damage and take your opponent out. Now this card was actually so influential on the format back then that it wound up making its way onto the banned list and eventually got limited and eventually off the ban list entirely once it got, you know, power creeped out. But this card, like I said, it did make a spot on the ban list at one time just because of how powerful it was. Number 7 is Swift Scarecrow. Now a lot of you may be saying, well, why is Swift Scarecrow higher up on the list than Battle Fader? Well, here's the thing. What Swift Scarecrow does is when your opponent declares a direct attack, you can discard this card from your hand to the graveyard to negate the attack and end the battle phase. It is a lot harder to get around than Battle Fader, merely because unless you have a card that banishes, like Dark Law or something on the field, then this effect is actually going to resolve properly. Like I said, the only way to get around it is to stop the card from ever hitting the graveyard, and not a lot of decks, you know, outside of Dark Law or decks that's specifically designed to banish cards actually do that, which is why it actually got higher on the list, because it's harder to get around. Number 6 is DD Crow. Now what DD Crow does is during either player's turn, you can discard this card to the graveyard, then target one card in your opponent's graveyard, and banish that card. DD Crow was real big during the Bujin format, when Bujins were pretty much just taking the game by storm. And This card was a real problem for Booj just because once you declare activation of the Booj in effect, and your opponent can respond with a DD Crow and banish that card, which means you will not get the effect. Now, DD Crow is actually so powerful and so sought after that it actually at one point wound up being close to $100. It also did make a spot on the ban list at one point in time. I can't remember if this was actually fully banned or just got limited. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I probably should have checked that out before I made the video. Point is, it did get hit on the list at one point in time. Number 5 is Oddest. Now, Oddest actually has 2 effects, but the main effect we're going to be focused on for Oddest, because this is a hand trap video, is that when a light monster you control battles, during either player's turn when it battles, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to have your battling monster gain attack equal to the attack of your opponent's monster. Now, this card in itself has been on the ban list, and since its original hit on the ban list, it has not gone above semi-limited. That shows you just how powerful and how relevant this card still is even today. And the thing that makes it so dangerous is you don't have to use this during your opponent's turn. It's just like Kalut. You can use it on your turn as well. And it's primarily seen in decks such as Light Swarm, which can get an easy Judgment Dragon, or Black Luster Soldier on the field, which in and of itself is already a beat stick. And you just attack into one of your opponent's boss monsters, use Oddest, and you're just getting a shit ton of that fucking damage brought onto your opponent. Number 4 is Effect Failure. What Effect Failure does is during your opponent's main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, target one face-up effect monster your opponent controls, negate that monster's effect until the end phase of this turn. This is a quick effect. Now, Effect Failure came out in the Synchro era, which means there were a lot of cards. Like this was real early in the Synchro era when Quasar was real big. People were using stuff like Red Nova Dragon, the Tech Genesis stun decks, things like that. So dropping a quick effect failure could potentially shut down your opponent's entire plays and give you that turn you need to get over their stuff or counter their stuff or whatever the hell you needed to do. And this worked real great if your opponent already had it or put it on the field, or like say they put Quasar on the field during their main phase, you effect failure Quasar, they summon another monster, and then you torrential tributed it. It would wipe out their entire field because they didn't have that protection they needed off that one monster. In addition to that, it was also a tuner monster. So even if you went up against people who were running like normal monsters or some shit like that, which is very rare, but even in today's meta, say like you're going against Ignite or something, it is a tuner monster, so you can use it for a quick synchro summon if you need to. Let's see here. Number 3 is the Big Daddy of Darkness himself, Gore's, the Emissary of Darkness. Now what Gore's does is when you take damage from a card in your opponent's possession, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then, well, the downside is though you have to control no cards in order to do this. But with a special summon this way, you gain an effect based on the type of damage you took. Now, if it was effect damage, you dealt damage to your opponent equal to the same amount of damage you took. But this was primarily used for battle damage because then you could summon it and then get an Emissary of Darkness token, which was a level 7, and its attack and defense were equal to the amount of battle damage you took. Now, first of all, that token is a level 7, so it made for great high-level synchro plays if you had a low-level tuner. Secondly, you could potentially get a shit ton of fucking attack on this card. Like, say your opponent hits you for a 4,000 Quasar Dragon, you drop this bad boy on the field, guess what? You have a 4,000 attack point token. It's going to kill that Quasar next turn. But this card actually did make it on the ban list as well, and this card itself changed the way the game was played. Now, before this, usually people would attack with their highest attack point monsters to go for that most damage right off the bat. However, once this card was released, I started seeing a lot of play. People started rethinking that whole plan and started attacking with their low attack point monsters just to poke their opponent for a little bit of damage before they swung with their high attack point monster because they never knew when their opponent was going to be running Gores. Now, Gores mostly seen play in dark decks such as Dark Worlds and the likes. There were a few Blackwing builds that ran it and a few Quasar Synchro builds that ran it, but not a whole lot. It primarily seen play in Dark Worlds just because of the whole dark thing. Number 2 on this list is Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Now, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit's effect states that during either player's turn when a monster on the field activates its effect, or when a spell or trap card that is already face up on the field activates its effect, You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to destroy that card on the field, but you can only use these effects Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit once per turn. This is Effect Veiler on fucking every steroid on the planet, because not only can it stop a monster's effect, but if your opponent has a face-up spell, a trap card, like say a field spell or a continuous spell, a trap or an eclipse spell, something like that, hell, even a fucking pendulum spell, you can negate that pendulum spell's effect, and you see how this would be really good. Like, let's use fucking, what is it, Metal Foes, for example. You know, they rely heavily on using their pendulum effects to sack other cards and search their decks. The same goes for Ignites, and the same goes for fucking Magispectors. Hell, you summon a Magispector and use this on the fucking Magispector, you're shutting your opponent's whole fucking play down. Now, after that, you might be saying, well, what's next? Well, first I want to make a couple of honorable mentions. There's actually only one honorable mention I have, and that's Tragodia. I just had to get Tragodia mentioned on this video. I don't have a picture of it, but you know, whatever. But anyway, now on to the number one is, of course, Maxie. If you didn't see this one coming, then you probably should have, because Maxie actually does have a hit on the list right now. It's a semi-limited status. And what it does is during either player's turn, you send this card from your hand to the graveyard. And this turn, each time your opponent special summons a monster, immediately draw one card, and you can only use one Maxie per turn. Now, Maxie is probably one of the longest running relevant hand traps of all time. And almost every fucking stall deck, there's even a ton of fucking meta decks. You're either running this main board or you're running this sideboard, because every deck these days relies heavily on special summons, whether it be Synchro, Xyz, Fusion, Pendulum, it doesn't matter. You drop this at the right time, then you're just going to fucking get a shit ton of advantage to your hand, and your opponent's not going to be able to do anything about it. But anyway, that's my top 10 most powerful and relevant hand traps of all time. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, leave your comments in the boxes below about what you believe are some of the most relevant hand traps. Tell me if you agree with this list, tell me if you disagree with this list. I love hearing feedback, and as always, tell your friends and families about this channel, tell anybody you know who plays this game. Get me those subscribers. Like I said, I do everything I can to spread the word about my channel, but I could use your help. But until next time, this is Heartbeat Hunter 89, and the voices in my head are telling me I'm signing off.
Take a shot at me, running side by side. It's a blur as I go by. I can hear you breathing, I can see you coming, I can feel the wind that's blowing me around. See the sun arising.